Actually, I picked myself up an old 1960s old, like a really, well, not really old, but old enough, analog film camera. Like it takes rolls of 35 millimeter film. Um, this is something I've toyed with it in the past, and Patrick's sister recently got into analog photography, and it was just like, you know what, this is cool to actually hold the photos in your hand. And to not know what's coming as well, like it's I don't know, there was something cool about it, and she inspired me to go for it. So I found this secondhand camera on Wallapop, which is if you don't know, it's like an app for buying and selling secondhand stuff. It's pretty popular here in Spain. I got this camera pretty cheap, and it looks pretty cool, like this real vintage retro look to it, like this black and silver kind of. It's cool. I'll maybe share a picture of it. I bought some film from the same guy actually that I bought the camera off because it turns out that he's kind of part of like a graphic design collective, I'd call it, or like a photography like collective. I don't know. He's involved in this project thing. Um, and they've got like a lab for developing and scanning photos too. So once I've shot it all, I'll probably go back and see him and get him to develop my film. Of course, at around €4 per roll of film, €4 more to get it developed, a couple more euros to get it scanned. It starts to add up. It becomes an expensive hobby. Maybe you want to play around. You know, I'll be looking at other secondhand cameras as we go as well. Um, and especially because I'm so used to shooting like hundreds, if not thousands, of photos on my digital camera, and just choosing my favorites. So out of like I don't know 100 photos, maybe I'll get one that I really like. I do like limitations though in general because I feel it forces me to be more creative. Um, like I don't know, podcasting for example. Like if I only got my voice to play with, it makes me be more creative. Putting the limits on taking pictures, you know, it's an expensive what €4 a roll of film, 36 shots. I'm no good at maths, but it it makes you conscious of like every time you press the shutter. So you have to be more like careful, but I think you also get more creative and you pickier about what you point your camera at. Typically I don't know, I take hundreds of photos of my cats. I can't do that with a roll of film. It would be just too expensive. Also, thanks to shooting like digital photos for the past 8 years or so, I've learned plenty about camera settings and setup. So hopefully it won't be a complete disaster. You know, I know about shutter speed and f stops and all that kind of stuff now. So I mean, I've got some idea. I certainly wouldn't consider myself a pro or anything, but anyway, I'm kind of excited. But of course, I won't know until I've shot the whole roll of 36 photos, taken it, and it's been developed. Because that's the process, isn't it? You can't see the pictures right away. You have to wait. It turns out I'm not alone in this, or well, obviously my sister-in-law as well, but we're not alone in this because analog photography has been making a steady comeback for some years now, with reports of film consumption and processing almost doubling since 2016, and dark rooms and processing labs popping up all over the US and the UK. And in fact, probably most people younger than me have never actually used an analog camera. Like I was thinking about this because we got a digital camera probably when I was around maybe 11. I'd have to ask my dad. I'm sure he'd know. It was if I remember right, it was like a real chunky. I can't remember the brand of it, but it was silver, and it was like a really. I imagine it was really low resolution, but it did the job. You got cool pictures that you could see right away. And so a lot of young people now in this period of instant gratification, they don't know the patience needed to make sure you get the right picture because that's something you want to take your time taking one of these pictures because you only get one chance at it. Then you have to wait to finish the roll of film. Then you have to take it to get developed, wait for it to be developed. Then you get the photos back and hopefully because you still don't know that they turn out the way you expected them to turn out some weeks ago, if you can even remember what you took the picture of. Like the whole process is drawn out, but it's kind of cool. Like there's a nostalgia to it. I like it. Um, I have vague memories of like being on holiday, taking photos, coming back with getting them processed, and then a heavy envelope of photos to look through arriving either through the post or you had to go to Boots to pick them up. Remember that? And like hopefully you didn't throw out too many, and so you look at what on earth is that, or I can't believe that looks like that, or it never sees the light of day again. Because back then you had actual physical photos to hold in your hand, and you had to go out of your way to show people rather than just uploading them to Instagram. Like you had to go, hey, look, do you want to see my holiday photos? And everyone would groan, and whereas now you can just skim past them on Facebook. I'm not saying it was particularly better or worse, or it's better or worse now. It's just different, and I like it. I'm going to retract what I just said. I like it, but I think it's better now because having high quality photos right away is just awesome. and being able to share them with the world and everything. But there's certainly like a nostalgic thing that I really like about it, and also this kind of delayed gratification. Like you just have to wait. Waiting's nice. You get this kind of something to look forward to, you know. One of the things I do dislike about digital photography is that many photos just never see the light of day. Like, think about how many times you go somewhere and everyone, you know, it happens all the time now. Go to a birthday, the birthday cake comes out, everyone's singing happy birthday, but they're all hidden behind their phones because they're taking a picture of it, you know? So how many pictures, you know, are people taking on their phones that you just never see? Like, there's photos of our wedding that other people are in these photos with their phones taking pictures of us, and we're like, that'd be cool to see that from that angle. And like we'll never see it, I guess. You know, I have to ask, where do these end up? I guess they either get deleted or they get lost in like a digital stack of photos underneath thousands and thousands of other photos. I'm as guilty as this for everyone else. I have probably in the last 6 months or so, maybe even more recently than that, we've got a new camera and I'm taking everyone, taking photos of everything. So every time I kind of transfer them to like my computer or my phone, I try and put them in an album. So I'm kind of organizing them, and not well, I'm going to be honest, not well at all. So I am as guilty as this as everyone else. Aside from like the odd photo that gets uploaded to Instagram, and that's naturally going to be the one that you look your best with the, you know, the true highlight of that event, and the rest will probably be never looked at again. That's it for them, you know, and no one will ever see them. And I kind of think that's sad. I mean, that's the best option, you know. They could get deleted and really no one will ever see them. And like, I enjoyed growing up and looking at photos of my mum and dad when they were younger. You know, I want to have photos to look back on, and I think we've risked not having that. My brother and his girlfriend got us for the wedding actually an instant camera. That was a really cool wedding gift. They spent the whole evening like shooting instant photos of everyone. I don't know how many hundred photos they gave us, but they took absolutely tons of pictures of everyone. And then the following day, they gave us like this album with all the photos in it, and the camera. They gave us the camera as well, which is great. I love it because, you know, you have this tangible physical photo to hold in your hand, and not all of them turned out great. In general, these it's a bit hit and miss. But there's no trying again, unless you want to use another of the like the Polaroid instant films because they're not cheap, you know, and you just have to live with it. But at least you get a photo in your hand right there and then to show to everyone, and you can take it away with you. Admittedly, there's been a couple of occasions where it's been like, it'd be nice to give you a copy of this. Oh well, it's mine, you know. I'm taking it with me. But it's nice to have a memory of that kind of moment. And so Patrick and I have been trying to use it to take pictures to remind us of like specific moments in our life, or that we want to remember, or like gatherings of friends at a certain event or certain moments in their life. And so then we stick them in, and we've been sticking them in an album and like writing a date and a caption to give it some context. And it's just something that exists in the real world, you know. You can lay your hands on it, you can hold it, you can flick back through it and share it and show it to people. And the showing to people is a shared experience as well, because it's like, hey, look at this cool picture that we took 2 years ago, and you know, you've got a bit of context because we've written down what day it was and where we were, and like they can go, oh yeah, that's nice, you know, that's cool. You miss out on that, I think. Also, it's limited to those photos that you take and stick in it. Like, there's no more to it. It looks like, so that's my rant over about having actual photos to hold.